So now with the NBA regular season coming to a soon close and the Eastern Conference being an extremely tight battle for first place, with the first through 6th seed only being separated by 4 games, there's one team out East that's been extremely consistent, whether it's through injuries, COVID protocols, or etc. And that's been the Chicago Bulls, other than my Miami Heat. And as of right now, the Chicago Bulls are the 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference, 1 game outside of the 1st seed, and to be honest, one of the best teams in the NBA. And as of right now, I don't know if a lot of people have them as true contenders in the East, but looking at their roster completely healthy and how some of these guys are gelling, and with the way DeMar DeRozan is playing and the style of offense that they do have, they are not only one of the most tough outs in the playoffs coming this year, but I could see them as a genuine contender. So let's talk about why I think that and what are some of the moving pieces on this team that make them work so well. Now, you can't start off any Chicago Bulls video this year without talking about the man, the myth, the legend, DeMar DeRozan, who this season was labeled one of the worst free agency pickups coming in, and he's done nothing but destroy that noise completely, while shooting almost 50% from every single spot this season, from shooting 67% at the rim, about 50% from the mid-range area, and 36% from 3. He's done that all while averaging a career best 28.5 points, 5.3 rebounds, 5.1 assists, a steal a game, on 52% shooting from the field, 37% from 3, while only on 2 attempts. That's still a lot more than he shot over the past 5 seasons, and 86% from the free throw line while shooting 8 a game. He's having an absolute amazing year, and he's no doubt the Chicago Bulls' best player and the largest reason why the Chicago Bulls are where they're at in the standings right now. But if we're going to talk about DeMar, you got to talk about the insane run he's been on since Alex Caruso went down. Because after the Chicago Bulls lost what was one of the best 6 men in the league and one of the best defenders in the NBA in Alex Caruso to a wrist injury for a couple weeks, DeMar DeRozan's been on an absolute mind-numbing tear through the NBA, averaging 34.4 points through 16 games, 6 rebounds, 5.8 assists, 1.1 steals, on 58% shooting from the field, on 22 field goal attempts per game, and 45% from 3, and 88% from the line on 8.5 free throws per game. The man's putting up James Harden type numbers on crazy next level efficiency. He's had an absolute insane run this season, as the reason why he's also 4th in MVP voting so far this season. He's absolutely insane, and he's obviously the largest part of why this team is as good as they are. But if you're going to mention how good this team is, you cannot mention Zach LaVine, who this season so far has also been amazing. And I must say, not having to be the best player on your team right now has done Zach some amazing wonders this season. Because coming in, I thought DeMar DeRozan would probably be the complementary piece next to Zach LaVine, taking off some of the offensive responsibility, but Zach LaVine still being the best player on this team. But being a complementary piece has seemed to fit him in the most amazing way possible, as this season he's averaging 25 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, 4.5 assists, on 48% shooting from the field, and 40% from 3. Now, while that is a drop off from his production a year before, as he averaged 27 points per game last season, 50% shooting, and 40% from 3, or 42% from 3, you also have to recognize that this season he's not only playing less minutes because he has to be in the game less because the Chicago Bulls basically won games by the midway through the 4th quarter. He's also averaging a steep decline in touches from all the way from 61 to 68 in the game. And overall, he's just hasn't had to be the main guy on offense, and he's done a very good job of cruising so far. And that's where I think Chicago Bulls have one of their biggest advantages going into the playoffs, is that even though DeMar DeRozan can struggle a couple games, you have somebody that's arguably better offensively in my mind, or at least more complete offensively with more weapons in Zach LaVine that can pick up the slack should DeMar DeRozan not be able to keep up a certain level of performance in the playoffs. Then you also look at the fact that Zach LaVine has seemed to actually buy in on defense this season, actually showing great effort on that end. It's just all around, I think, an improvement from last season. While the numbers may be down, his impact on winning and also just being a more engaged defender and better player on the court is obviously shown. He doesn't have to be a playmaker anymore. He can focus on being a scorer, and while he still averages the same amount of assists, he's making far easier passes and doesn't have to make advanced pick and roll reads because either Lonzo Ball, when he's on the court, or DeMar DeRozan handle those responsibilities. And if we're going to speak about Lonzo Ball, if Lonzo comes back and plays enough games, there's no reason, absolutely no reason why he should not be on a all defensive team. Along with, in my opinion, Alex Caruso has a chance to be on one also. As of right now, Zach LaVine this season, many people saw him as a role player that didn't deserve the money, and he came in and shown why he's still one of the best role players in the NBA, up there with guys like Mikal Bridges. Because even as a point guard that I think can run an offense, or at least a half-court offense, since his offensive game and his shooting has taken a big leap from when he came into the league, he's taken a step back, allowing DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine to be the main ball handlers on this team, while he's stuck to being one of the best catch and shooters in the NBA at 42% from 3 and 7 attempts a game. A stark difference when he came in the league. He's also averaged 5 assists a game on some very quick reads and just quick pick and roll passes, moving the ball, not really controlling the offense as a true point guard. And while he does average the most touches in this game, he knows and he recognizes when guys are hot. He's there to control the pace of the game and get the ball to who it needs to be. And he's also still the best passer and floor general on the court. So when the game does get to a certain point and you do need the game to be managed and slowed down, he's the perfect guy to have the ball in his hands. But if you talk about his offense, you must talk about his defense. Averaging 1.8 steals per game and a block a game this season, he's been an absolute tear on the defensive end, from being one of the league leaders in not only steals and deflections per game this season, but also being this team's leader on the defensive end on the perimeter. There's no doubt Lonzo Ball has passed all expectations and deserves all the money he gets. And it shows that even though he's not the complete star people thought he was going to be when he got that second pick, it does show that he's definitely probably a top 5 player coming not only out of that draft class, but overall an amazing player in this game and going to be one of the best guards for a year to come. And to round out the starting guys on this team, you have Nikola Vucevic, who this season started out pretty rough, but overall has picked it up. Overall this season averaging 17.9 points, 11.7 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 1 steal, a block, 0.2 on 47% shooting and 30% from 3. And while the shooting is a lot lower than P would want it to be, as he was, the main thing about him on the team was that the pick and roll with him, Zach, or DeMar, or Lonzo would be deadly, simply because he can fade out and be a close to 40% three-point shooter. And while the shot has virtually abandoned him this season, overall he's been able to pick up the offensive production, as with Alex Caruso out and having a little bit more offensive responsibility, he's upped that to 21.3 points per game, 12.9 rebounds, 3.7 assists, while shooting 51% from the field, 53% from the field, and 27% from the three-point line. While the shooting from 3 has gotten worse, he's went back to his old roots, being down low on the post, taking mid-range jumpers outside of the pick and roll, and overall just being a big body down low that can get points easy for this team. But while those top guys have been amazing for every single game for the Bulls this year, there's been some unknown heroes on this team that has played fantastic and is the reason why they're as good as they are. And that is 4 guys that come off the bench that truly give this team the punch they need. And that is Ayo Dosunmu, the rookie that's been eye-opening this season, Kobe White, who's flourished in that 6-man role this year as he's come back, and Javonte Green, who's taken the spot from Patrick Williams and being the perimeter defenders on some of the best perimeter and forward guys in the league, and has shined in that role. Starting off with Kobe White, who's averaged 14 points per game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists on 45% shooting and 40% from 3. I think he's found the role that best fit him, and that is in that Jamal Crawford, Jordan Clarkson type of role, where he doesn't have to worry about being the main ball handler on this team. He's not a true point guard. If anything, he's a combo guard, and being nothing but a scorer coming off the bench while still handling, making some pretty good reads in the pick and roll is the exact role he needs to be in, and he's flourished so far this season. And with Alex Caruso going down with that injury, he's upped his level of play to another level, as he's averaged 16.4 points, 3.4 rebounds, 3.6 assists on 46% shooting and 44% from the 3. Largely, this is the reason why DeMar DeRozan's been having such a great season this year. The Chicago Bulls have all these weapons on the perimeter that can knock down shots and have been doing it for a majority of the year. And that gives him optimal space to not only work in the mid-range to get whatever shot he wants, but pretty much a pretty open lane to the rim, because if if you sag off anybody, DeMar DeRozan is a pretty good playmaker, a really good playmaker enough to hit those guys right in their shooting pocket, and it's almost always money. And Coby White's been the epitome of the guy that you can hit when you need to pass the ball, and he's going to be always money. He's been perfect in this role, and I think he does deserve some consideration for a little award coming this season. While I think at most he'll probably be 5th place in the award voting, I don't think he'll probably even qualify. But overall, he's been great in his role so far this season, and he's a large part of the reason why this team is doing so well. And another guy that surprised me an insane amount is Ayo Dosunmu, who this year has averaged 8.1 points, 2.8 rebounds, 3.1 assists on 52% shooting and 40% from 3. And while he's only 2.3 attempts per game, that's still great that he can knock down open shots, because that's what you'll need in the playoffs when teams start to collapse on not only Zach, but DeMar also. But in the 60 games, Alex Caruso has gone down, and he's had his minutes shot up to 36.6 a game. He's been absolutely incredible, averaging 10.4 points, 3.9 rebounds, 6.2 assists, and the steal a game, showing that he's not only an amazing point guard, but just an amazing player coming off the bench, somebody that comes off the bench can handle the point guard roles and let Coby White still be the scorer that he is and don't have to worry about being a playmaker. Let Alex Caruso just be a havoc across the court on the defensive end while still being able to be a weapon on the offensive end, because you have a point guard that can find him on his routine cuts to the rim. He's just been an amazing surprise this season, and the reason why he's so high in the Rookie of the Year voting because of this burst right here. And he's just shown that he's an incredible piece and something that the Chicago Bulls can look to be a leader on this team for years to come. Or, you know, DeMar ain't that young, so if you need to trade for another all-star, I'm pretty sure he'd be a guy that would get a lot of attention in a trade like that. The next guy I'd like to talk about that really shouldn't have had this many minutes this season, but injuries has pushed up his level of play and minutes, and he's definitely answered, is Javonte Green, who's not only been one of the better perimeter defenders on this team, but has been a great spark coming off the bench, averaging 7.7 points on 54% from the field. While he's not a shooter, he only shoots 34% from 3. He can knock down some open ones, and he's taken up the defensive responsibilities of guarding some of the best perimeter players that Patrick Williams did have. But overall, he's just been a solid piece and a solid player on this team. And that's just what you need in these moments. You need guys that can definitely give you solid minutes, be great defensively, a spark coming off the bench, or a spark in your starting lineup. No matter who's starting or who's playing, you know you're going to get 100% from them, and he's definitely that guy. And then the last person I would like to talk about is somebody that's only played 28 games. He's not on any leaderboards, which sucks. But Alex Caruso, when he was playing, was an absolute monster on the defensive end. While only averaging 8.4 points on 43% shooting and 34% from 3, that's not where his value does lie. Because even in the 27 minutes he's played coming off the bench, he's averaged 2 steals a game, while also being pretty good as a guy that can, you know, has a good IQ, not hitting open guys when they're open, and being pretty good in the pick and roll with averaging 4 assists per game. He's overall been the biggest spark on this team. And I think he's a guy that coming off the bench can make a all defensive team from how well he's been playing this season. But I don't think he'll be able to qualify for a lot of awards or leaderboards since he did miss a pretty good amount of time with this wrist injury. But overall, I think this season he's also been the biggest spark and the reason why this team was so good originally. Now, that being said, let me know what you guys think. Do you think Chicago Bulls are an amazing team? Do you think that they'll somehow find a way to make the NBA Finals? Do you think they're a contender? Let me know in the description down below, or comment section description. You can check the description for all my socials. All of them are in there. I'd love you guys check me out on Twitter. Or if not, just subscribe to the channel. I give updates on videos in the community tab, so you'll always know when the next upload is. That being said, it's YFLB. That's my time, and I'm out.